was a fun weekend of margaritas, horse racing, and rat beefs, as you might have guessed by the thumbnail. But we're back to the world of best ball Mania 5. $1.5 million to first place. And of course, me streaming drafts every Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. We are already in a draft room. It'll be disappointing for all of you to hear out there as it is for me. Lots of regulars in this one because we got a Pete stream going on, as well as our usual stream time here at 11 a.m. So we'll see what happens. Of course, we are on the clock now, picking in the slightly less influential 102 hole. CeeDee Lamb spot, though CeeDee Lamb, if he holds out, do think he drops an ADP later in BBM. Tyreek Hill, a fine pick who I don't get enough of generally, whether it be in the big board or BBM. Let's stick with CeeDee Lamb for now. I think taking guys where they get them at this point, where I really do have concern that if CeeDee Lamb holds out, currently looking for the richest wide receiver contract in NFL history. He's a guy that could fall back to mid-first round, maybe. Could he go back to where he was last year? Probably not. I feel like he can't pass the A.J. Brown-Mendoza line in the first round. But CeeDee Lamb, if he does hold out until July, maybe even to August, could be a player that falls in ADP. So that's my one reservation taking him in the 2 spot. Obviously, the talent, though, as you guys might have seen, Spags rankings dropped over the weekend. You could see all the EPA metrics. Last year, CeeDee Lamb about a 0.45 EPA per target overall, one of the best marks in the league. So I would say for CeeDee Lamb, a player that proved what he could do last year in a more pass rate heavy offense in Dallas. They finally stopped running the ball up the gut over and over again with Tony Pollard. For this year, you're making a bet that Dallas maybe even has to pass more behind a makeshift offensive line, a losing guys and adding some rookies at not great draft capital offensive line. That's the hope that you're going to get from Dallas if you are going to be a believer in the pass game. And there's a risk side that we talked about a little bit on Friday. The guy W for Omega in particular, a Cowboys fan, talked about the no outcome of the Cowboys. What if the Cowboys just bust this year? That'd be another thing that wouldn't be the best for them. So obviously not the most likely outcome, playing into the logical one, which is Dallas passes a lot. CeeDee Lamb good for one more year. See what we got here. May as well title each draft, drafting Jayden Daniels, part infinity. Well, look, here's the thing, though. So, okay, the title, obviously, I am a Kendrick Lamar fan. I've never been a big Drake guy, but the thumbnail made more sense to use Drake's song. The Heart Part 6, the most recent entry into the rap battle that, reinvigorated my love. Got me back to feeling like when I was in my early teens when Jay-Z and Nas were going back and forth. I feel like now, for a guy like me in my late 30s, and Kendrick and Drake also in their late 30s, this is now adult man beef. We're calling people pedophiles, accusing them of not getting good splits on their contracts, things like that. But very fun to watch. But it happened to also be, this is the draft. I've had 5 shares of Jayden Daniels so far. This would be my 6th share of Jayden Daniels. So it makes sense. Jayden Daniels, my Dave Free. He's impregnated me with love of fantasy football. Jayden Daniels, one teaser of the Spags rankings, by the way, which you can get for yourself at the join button down below, $4.99 a month. Get access to all the upcoming updates for the Spags rankings each week. Blurbs out the wazoo for them. And one of my hotter takes is that I have Jayden Daniels ranked in, well, actually, let me confirm where I've got him ranked right now. Did make some movement. Got Jaden Reed there. Don't need him. Yeah, I've got Jayden Daniels ranked in the top 90. So does that mean I would take him at pick 88 like I'm currently suggesting in my rankings? No, but it does mean that that's about the point where I think he should be valued. And if you guys recall last year, despite the injuries, I said that AR should be like a 5-6 round pick. And I think now he's going above that. Obviously getting hurt last year didn't help, but he ended up having the top fantasy points per quarter stats, which do matter somewhat if we're going to try to project things for this year. So look, if you want to follow me off of AR, take the leap of faith. This is the sequel here. Jayden Daniels is it. And we'll try to get him once again. We'll see if we do, but that's the goal. One more share of Jayden Daniels. Why not? This beef is insane. And LMAO, the thumbnail. Look, try to do something creative here today. So, hopefully you guys enjoy it. Probably to get us a few less clicks than usual. The other thumbnail A/B tests pretty well, but why not? Why not, guys? Gotta have fun. We're doing drafts every Monday to Friday. Again, it's like a job for me. I show up here, I clock in like the old sheepdog and those vintage animated cartoons, like Warner Brothers cartoons with a sheepdog and the other thing. They're pals that are fighting it off. Somebody knows the reference better than I do. I just remember the sheepdog punching his time card, and that's me. Less hair. Dallas probably dead last in rushing attempts. Keep smashing CeeDee. Interesting take. Definitely possible. The defense also getting worse too is not a good thing for them. So we have CeeDee Lamb here, Debo on the board, Nico on the board, Diggs on the board. Okay, we've got fun stuff. Have to imagine. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens if we take Nico. There are people out there that are down on Diggs. There are people that do not like Stephon Diggs at ADP right now. I, of course, a big believer in the Houston offense, think that CJ Stroud's going to be this year's MVP. CJ Stroud, by the way, all the headlines going to Micah Parsons, going head-to-head with sumo wrestlers. CJ Stroud, they're shirtless right with him, right with sumo wrestlers. So fucking Diggs goes. We'll not get Nico and Diggs. A combo which escapes me unless I reach for it uncomfortably in ADP. But that's okay. We can make bets on two teams we like potentially. Could go Chicago here, take DJ Moore. Sam Laporta at this point would not be a player I hate with guys that I do like Neighbors, Diggs off the board. But we'll go DJ Moore. We'll be ADP convicted at this point. So the start here, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, DJ Moore. 3 offenses I believe in. So fundamentally, that's what I'd like to do here. And we'll see what we get on the way back at pick 47. Pick 47. Who knows? Olave, way too expensive for me. That was one that, so basically when I talked about the Spags rankings, I was trying to wait as long as possible for ADPs to kind of solidify. So I can actually say like, oh, this guy's overvalued, this guy's undervalued. Olave being up 10 picks basically since the big board was not what I would have expected. I guess that people thought that New Orleans is going to add another receiver in the draft, or that Spencer Rattler adds value because Derek Carr is coming down too. So I don't really get what's making Olave come up. Maybe just people who draft this time of year like him more, but pick 15 here, his ADP's at 17, or was as of yesterday. Where is it today? I guess as of Saturday, rather. He's at a 19.1 ADP. So he's actually moving back down. He's, I guess, restabilizing by the day, but he was at 17.4 Saturday morning. Now he's at 19.1. And in this room, he goes at 15. So I guess that breath you should expect him to go in is like 19 to 20. But he was going reliably in the mid-20s in the big board, so he has come up for really, I think, no reason. But who knows? Moore's too low. I think Moore's appropriately priced. I think if anything, Allen and Odunze are suffering right now. I don't think they both should be going down in ADP while Moore stays steady. I still like Chicago enough that you got to take guys where they are to make those bets. Lamar at 34, a bit wild. I would price Allen and Hurts, and I did in the Spags rankings, did price Allen and Hurts right next to each other. Then a little bit of a tier break. Then Lamar, AR, and Stroud would be the next trio for me. And I would put Patrick Mahomes about 10 picks behind that. But I really would check out. I would recommend it for you guys. Maybe somebody is one of the regulars, if they checked it out over the weekend, can testify in the chat. But Spags rankings, I do think add value. If nothing else, that is a good blurb with my SIS data points, the EPA metrics per pass, per rush for every player. And then, each week I'll update with where I think the rank should move. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit tough because Underdog ADP is going to be stabilizing at some points. There won't be a ton movement. I'm not going to move shit just to do it, but I will update blurbs throughout the year, and I'll bold them too. I'm in the sheeter. I'll try to do it that way. So should be some stuff here coming up that I think will add value for you guys with being the Spags rankings or reading the Spags rankings, and also hitting that join button for $4.99 a month. But I'm happy with the results of how that came out. Heard some nice things for people, so hope that helps. The blurbs fuck. There we go. I'll take that. Olave getting steamed up by some YouTubers. I've not heard that. Which YouTubers? Who's doing that? I think it's just more that there are people coming in who have a certain mindset when they start drafting in May, June, July, even, obviously late April. This is what this technically started in. But I think there's more of that, traditionalist mindset where Olave, I guess this wouldn't be totally true because Harrison did come up as well. But, people just thinking that Olave is going to be making that jump in year 3 for himself. And then they see no Michael Thomas there. Nobody else added of note, really. You have your Cedric Wilsons. You have your Equanimous St. Browns. You have your Bub Meanses. None of them are going to be big target earners coming in that upset a Chris Olave. So I think that's just how more of a May BBM drafter drafts as opposed to a March big board drafter. I think that's what I would read into it. I don't think it's anybody steaming Olave up. I don't know who that would be that would have that much influence, honestly. Especially with how many sharp drafters there are in Underdog. The guys who get impacted are like Ben Sinnott. When you have Sean Siegel talking about him, you have obviously me beating the drum since January, but that doesn't matter. But you have Sean Siegel talking about him. You have Karain. You have Pete. You have all those guys talking about him. That's going to move a Ben Sinnott because he's so low. But you're not going to move Olave, I think. Even the fantasy flock, I think. Well, I would hope. Probably could not do that. All right, so we do get CJ Stroud back here. If I pass on him, Biff Tannen's going to take him. If I don't take him here, we could play. You know what? Because everybody's going to take Stroud in this spot. You know what, Biff Tannen? If you want him, take him. We're going to go Chicago stack instead. We're going to try to get a couple of teams I like. I think is what we're going to try to do here. But go ahead, Biff Tannen. Have CJ Stroud. The guy I think is going to be MVP. I'll pass him up in this build because I think there's going to be a lot of teams with one of Nico and Shroud, one of Diggs and Shroud, even one of Tank and Shroud. And at this point, I don't know that it behooves me to take that when you're going to be competing against probably doubles with Shroud as well. So go ahead, Biff Tan, and take him. I don't want him. I bet he thinks I'm playing mind games now. I'm the Kendrick Lamar of best ball. To start wearing a crown of thorns on every stream. Go ahead, Biff Tan, and take him. What, are you scared? What, are you scared to click CJ Stroud? Oh, he's scared to click CJ Stroud. He's got terror in his heart, terror in his eyes. Did I just walk him down? I'm now citing everything from Kendrick. I mean, I was going to take McLaurin here because obviously that's my guy. But if Stroud's going to fall for me 5 picks after ADP and we got this. No, you know, let's stick with the plan. Let's stick with the plan. Go ahead, Tank Dell Drafter. You could have CJ Stroud. After I walk Biff Tannen down, we're going to stick with the team. Stick with the approach. CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin. Maybe that's the approach I have to do more on stream, is just be like, I dare you to take him. Not going to worry about getting sniped. I'm just going to head right into it. Strike fear in their hearts by them. What does this guy know that I don't? Kalen Williams got sniped for me at 96 on DK this weekend because DK is lawless. Get a 14-pick discount on Dak to pair with CD. That's pretty nice as well. That's pretty nice. I walked him down to say, Cullen here is Biff Tannen. I mean, a great reference for Cullen's username here. But yeah, there we go. I think we learned a new approach here on stream drafts. We know that there's some people watching the stream who might be in the room. We just act like we really don't want the guy and dare the person to take them. So we've learned things. I've learned things from Kendrick Lamar this weekend. Have to talk about this, by the way, because I've been obsessed with it. So the wife and Luca were out of town this weekend. We're staying at my brother-in-law and his fiance's house. And basically, you know, they were in New York City, so they were doing stuff I had nothing to do besides work, some video games. My wife made me some margaritas in advance, drank those over the weekend, spread them out. Obviously, had to have save some for Cinco de Mayo. So I basically just this entire weekend embraced doing rap beefs and watching streamers and reactions and all of that to Kendrick and Drake stuff. And what a great weekend to like not have responsibilities where I can just be up looking at shit all night. The one thing I will say, the one thing that make me feel bad about being a best ball drafter here is like, holy shit, the amount of stream views that these guys like DJ Academics is like, a Drake stan guy who gets a ton of views. I'm sure people who know hip hop know, but if you don't, 75,000 live viewers on a Sunday night, 70,000 on a Saturday night. Like people were big invested out there. And then you have all these guys getting like 1 million views within 4 hours. Just absolutely insane. So fun weekend, I think, if you did indulge in those. Probably why only that's going to get me to tweet is like, I've really nobody of my friend group. I grew up in the South Bronx. So I think, I'm not hopefully not full culture vulturing here. But yeah, like I think that's was a lot of fun to have when you don't have anything else going on the weekend. To live vicariously, they're two millionaire adult men accusing each other of various crimes. And not even like traditional rap crimes where it's like, oh, you killed this guy and oh, you're, whatever. Or oh, you're a fake thug. It's like, oh, you're a pedophile. Oh, you beat your wife violently. And then also your son is perhaps not your son. It's your best friend who runs your business's son. So a lot this weekend. Go Kendrick, go. Take Naked Stroud, 2 picks past ADP if he's there. I just don't know what that does for you. If you take Naked Stroud, you're just going to go up against a bunch of Stroud stack teams, and you're ultimately setting yourself up for disappointment if he gets to the finals. Like to me, that's just how you never really want to draft. Obviously, the value at a certain point gets to be too much, but a 2-pick ADP value is not enough value to like try to change up what you're doing. And Neo Corain's written about it before too as well. Obviously, more talking about the snipes, but the person who takes the unstacked QB hurts their team more than they hurt the other team because that team that just has a mini stack, they have 2 wide receivers without having to make the bet on the QB. Now they just have to make another stack that will then add more correlation, and then that QB just has to beat your QB. For this kind of situation where you just take the QB unstacked, you're going against the versions of that. You're going against then the actual just regular stacks. So I think there's a lot of power you lose by taking an unstacked QB unless it's like a tremendous discount that just normally wouldn't occur. But obviously, yeah, you do have late Houston guys you could take if you want to take a Schultz. That's at least some correlation, but ultimately, I do think you are losing to the big dogs. We have 0050 here. So we can keep our flexibility at wide receiver. I feel like I've been breaking a lot of my RB fasts with this guy lately. But I kind of agree that he's just undervalued at this point. We got a little shot at correlation. I'm tempted to go extreme zero RB here, but we're not gonna. We're gonna go David Montgomery instead. I am aware of a bias developing, though, where I'll go on a wide receiver run early, then I'll take David Montgomery and I'll go like, he's perfect right here. So I'm going to need to break that at some point and actually just probably build out more extreme zero RBs or force myself to go RB a little bit earlier just because I'm not, to me, he's the most appealing pick in this range by a pretty wide margin. We know what he is, whereas Ramondre, ambiguous backfield, I think he's overvalued by about 15 to 20 picks where I have in the rankings. All right, we have a 0-1-5-0 here. I know that going up and getting Dak makes the most sense for me. Zamir White's not coming down, I feel like, even though he probably should. I'll get a share of Ramondre here. Not the biggest believer, but we're just trying to break a run here and break some tendencies as well. I have not taken Montgomery and Ramondre together. Today we will. And the other options for me were not appealing. Like coming up, reaching for Caleb Williams at 74 would not be wise to do when he's normally going to the 90s. I'm sure in some rooms going to the 100s. So that's not the pick we're going to make. And wide receiver, again, I want to keep the flexibility for later in the draft to get some guys who I do believe are undervalued later in the draft. So we will hold off for there. But those guys who are undervalued later in the draft, disappearing a little bit. Obviously, my boy Troy Franklin going down a little bit. People not having faith in Denver yet. I think he comes back up in July. So I'm willing to buy the dip for Troy once we know what the dip fully is. But he's one guy late. I think that now this kind of team would be fun to add. We'll see. Kendrick, eviscerating Drake is funny. I always remember Drake's name is Aubrey, and he's a theater rat from Toronto who got famous at Degrassi. Yeah, there's lots of poke holes in with Drake. I think he's always just been a little bit of a social chameleon kind of guy, which I know. And frankly, at times in my life, like because I grew up in the South Bronx, like I was probably, I would say cosplaying as a minority more than I am. Like I'm a little bit Puerto Rican, but not enough where that should be. I shouldn't be Eminem. But so in college, I probably overcorrected, got more into like, I was in California where, I could have kept doing that, but I think I adapted a little bit. And that's the flexibility. If you're me or Drake, two peers in the game. No, but if you're, if you look like me, you look like Drake, you can kind of do those things a little bit more. And I think that's not a thing that is comfortable to talk about if you're on this side of the aisle. But for all the people I know who are people of color, I think that is a real critique is that, you can't, they can't shed their skin quite as much or shed those things. So I think there's a lot of layers to the whole thing. And there's also just the fact that like, to make a club song and not like us, that's just calling somebody a pedophile. And there was one clip that went viral of like a DJ going, certified pedophile, playing his set. That's hilarious. That's just like art on top of art. So I love it. I love the hating. I love that part of it. I love the beautifully written rhyme schemes and the metaphors that Kendrick spins up while also doing them in a way where it's like really cruel. And then he makes some brilliant points that are social and aware in a way that, there are people much more equipped than me to comment on those things. But like, I took a hip hop class at USC by one of the guys who was like one of the first people breaking down hip hop on a doctorate level. Like he's Dr. Todd Boyd, if you want to look him up. I don't know if he's like, he might've gotten canceled at some point because I feel like he was like vaguely problematic, but he was like the first guy who was doing this and breaking this shit down. And I know a lot about the stuff historically, and hip hop to me, like I've not enjoyed the era of, I do a lot of Percocets and like, cool. I pretend like I shoot people, and maybe I did shoot people at some point. I feel like to me, like the 90s, there's a little more art to it. In addition to a lot of these guys were just tougher than some of the ones you see that are, but it's all for whatever some kid out there, I'm sure feels the same way that I did, listening to the guys like the modern equivalents. I only like Lil Uzi Vert and everybody else. And then like, the Migos guys vaguely. But this really reawoken my interest. And I was happy to see Kendrick back to the humble and damn kind of era days. Couldn't name/recognize a single Drake song. All I know is Raptors games. I mean, the persona of Drake is very unlikable. And he's like one of those guys where, like Louis C.K., there was the gossip stuff for a while that was like, hey, Louis C.K. is doing some bad shit behind the scenes. Like, And, and that was a thing that didn't become like a real issue until it became a real issue. I think there's been enough about Drake. And there's like Twitter threads too going through how many times he was like, oh, this girl talks about how like, hey, I'm talking to him now that I'm 19, but he's been following me since I was 14, 15, 16. Like there's at least some Chris D'Elia level stuff going on there. DeAndre Swift, I think would have been a nice pick for this team. We've punted Caleb back and Dak back And Brock Bowers is there. This is a dangerous spot for me. I have plans. I have big plans for my team. Let's make old Biff decide. Let's walk him down again. Biff, I've already forgotten your real name, but it's a cool name. Cullen, was that it? Your guy Cullen here, who's Biff in the one hole. We're walking him down again. What do you decide in the one hole, Cullen? Who are you going to pick here? Want to scoop one of these falling swords? You want to take James Conner? You want to take Jonathan Brooks? That's a fun pick. Go ahead, Colin. Dare you to take Jonathan Brooks? Oh, he's going for Tyler. He's going off board. He's going off script. All right. We've got Caleb. We've got Dak. Both would be good picks for this team. Dak, 14 spots after ADP. So maybe that's the bet. I'm making the bet on Chicago, but I could make the bet with Dak instead. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if we do that here. We're scooping up the ADP value on Dak. We've walked our guy Cullen down one more time. He took Brock Purdy. I'm sure that made sense for him, but I'm going to assume that I just got in his head too much. He's just taking random players. I won't even look at his team to confirm. My team so far, I've not been giving the team a read, a 1-2-5-1. Too excited to talk to people after being alone all weekend. Dak Prescott, a QB. David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson at running back. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin. And a tight end, Brock Bowers. Brock fallen all the way down. Brock, I still have overpriced. I'm going to have to move him down the rankings a little bit because the market is not there. What did Brock Bowers do to deserve this fate? Is it Devontae Adams being there? Oh, no. There's a guy who's going to take red zone attention away and open him up to be a more viable player there. Is that what we're worried about? I don't know. Caleb Williams goes to the guy with Odunze, Brendan, who I believe is a splash play person. I feel like I see the name enough in rooms. If not, whatever. But he takes Caleb, so knew it was going to happen. Would have been fun if Caleb got pushed all the way to 119, but can't expect that. Brock makes my cock turn into a rock. Sir Guy Adam, who is on stream. If you want to see the handsome face that goes along with that, check out the stream from last week with Vlad McConkey on the thumbnail. If you want to see what Adam did on stream. And of course, as well, if you want to join here on Splash, will be our next guest host. I'm going to be drawing it again in another 10 days. So hit that pinned comment down below. I'll leave 5 stars interview for my sports betting app. Probably that is your entry fee, your entry ticket to getting to be able to guest host Splash Play. And even if you don't win the drawing for this month, you will probably be on at some point where I'm going to do the August marathon stream again and have people on. You'll be one of them then. So you'll be guaranteed to get a spot on Splash Play. So 5 stars interview for Probably if you want. And of course, Probably if you want to support the show, great way to do that. It's the join button down below. Second best way, go check out Probably. Use promo code SPLASH at probably.com/subscribe. Best market data in the business, the sports books with $50,000 bets, $100,000 bets. We take their data, then use it at your advantage here at Legal US Sportsbook. So check it out, probably.com/subscribe. Jayden Daniels goes to Hirsch, who is I'm going to say it, a cocksucker. I don't think we say that one anymore, but that's just upsetting at 110. Was hoping we get him at 119. I guess part 6 is going to have to wait. I'll stick with my 5 Jayden Daniels shares, but disappointing. I don't use that word very often because I don't know if it's been canceled, but I don't think it's a correct one. But in this particular case, you're going to get the only best ball stream in the world that will sometimes call people a CS. My initials, ironically enough. But fuck him. He's right that's 110 is too cheap for Jayden Daniels. I'll give him that. But ADP-wise, it has not been where Jayden Daniels has been going. His ADP right now, he's moving up, 113. I'm still going to call him the word, but dag nabbit is what we'll say. Now we've used our profanity count up. Oh, okay. It's a chugger? Okay. Poor Cullen's getting bodied. It's okay. Cullen, I think I have nothing to push you around for anymore. Brian Robinson Jr. goes, so we won't even get Washington correlation that way. That's a downer. That's a downer. This is what happened to me last year with ART, where sometimes I'd take Pittman to set up Anthony Richardson. Then I lose Richardson, and I'm like, what the fuck's the point of this team? But I still believe in the bet, and it worked out with Pittman last year, obviously. So still believe in the bet on Jayden Daniels, and we'll now just make it for him through a proxy, I suppose. All right, so we have Trevor Lawrence here. Doesn't make sense for us. We lost out on basically every QB who would be correlated with right now. Could build out a Gardner Minshew thing. We'll take the lesser half of Tennessee. And we were not even going to talk about anything else I'm thinking here. Let's just see what Cullen does in the one hole. Our guy Biff Tannen. We've been walking Cullen down all day. He's been getting bodied, but now we're just going to let him choose for himself. See what he does around the board. And frankly, been a pleasure drafting alongside Cullen. Sometimes these guys go into the turn. If I'm stuck right waiting for him, I go, oh, you characters. Good pick by Cullen. Ezekiel Elliott, undervalued at the 130s. Takes him at 120 here. We have a 1-3-5-1 here. You know, we have our cute little adorable bet on Houston. We could make Dalton Schultz part of that bet. Could also start setting up another stack. But I will take Dalton Schultz here. I feel like Dalton Schultz has been my tight end too a lot so far. Maybe not a lot, but it feels like a lot to me so far in BBM. But him at pick 120-ish, kind of think he's going to come up at a certain point with just him being a lever off the higher dollar Houston guys. A little more expensive there. So, all right, here's the team so far. A 1-3-5-2. Dak Prescott at QB. David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, Tyjae Spears at running back. CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin at wide receiver. So we did not go extreme 0 RB. Now I'm questioning it with how this worked out. Brock Bowers and Dalton Schultz at tight end. So probably done at tight end. I think we have a good base at running back, good base at wide receiver. Just need to figure out what we're going to do with QB2 because QB2, unfortunately, has evaporated. I am glad to see Jayden starting to move up to the appropriate price. Is one thing I will say. I think he deserves that. And again, my Dave Free, he's impregnated me with a love of fantasy football that I possibly can't contain for 2024. So Jayden Daniels going at 112. I will adjust accordingly. And I do think Jayden Daniels, if rational minds are going to set in, Jayden Daniels to me should be ahead of Caleb. I think Dak normally going in the 80s. He should probably be closer to Dak. His rushing ability, I would say, should put him ahead of Brock Purdy, even though obviously the San Francisco offense is going to be perceived to be a lock to be good this year. For Jayden, though, the rushing ability from day one and the deep arm and willingness to throw it going to be very important parts. So to me, Jayden Daniels' price tag would be probably ahead of Jordan Love. I know people won't feel comfortable with that, but that's what my price tag for him would be. Pete and Siegel just got Daniels. They get all the viewers and they get Jayden Daniels. What kind of bullshit is this? Meanwhile, I just get to call people slurs you can't use in 2024 anymore. So I guess it's a consolation prize because you know Siegel's not busting that out. Pete shouldn't be allowed to say 0 RB anymore. I think with how he's been drafted on stream for a year. Let's start a beef with Pete. We were pal, the big three. Me, Pete, and Pat Corain, the big three. Now we're broken up. I don't know who'd be the J. Cole. I think Pete would be down for a fight. I think Pat would be the J. Cole. Pat's got enough money, he could be the J. Cole. You think motherfucker? Yeah, motherfucker's still okay. That's still fine. Zeke's going to scream to the 70s in August when there's normies flock. He's going to be undervalued. He's going to be a little bit undervalued at ADP right now. Yeah, look, there's still the risk. I would think if he and Dowdle get too, lopsided in price. I would say at a certain point, Dowdle becomes the buy there. But, that is fundamentally an ambiguous backfield. I just think the trust that Dowdle's had, I've talked about enough times here. You get rid of a guy, you bring the guy back. Really, the biggest issue they had with Zeke was the contract. They didn't hate him as a player, didn't hate him as a person. Now he's coming back. He's got his fresh new jersey, that number 15 that he wore at Ohio State and New England last year. So I think for Zeke, he should probably be around the 100 range, really. But, Dowdle to me, then Dowdle should probably, I don't know. It's got to be a better balance here. Dowdle shouldn't be like 20 picks behind him. All right, Jahan Dotson goes to Nate Lee. All the fun things evaporated right before our eyes. See what Hawkberg does here. Dare you to take Cole Kmet, Hawkberg. I'm just going to start wish casting these guys, willing them to take. There we go. All right, that worked out. Who makes this team better? I'm going to go Marshawn Lloyd. I think I know what Biff is going to do with one of his picks at least. Marshawn Lloyd, a lot of good reports for him so far coming out here. Looked good at the rookie stuff that they've had, at this point. We will see what happens with Marshawn Lloyd. As I've mentioned, I think he's the Tyjae Spears to Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. We'll see if that's the case. So I did not think that our guy Biff Tannen Cullen in the one hole was going to take Troy Franklin, and we are back on our bullshit. Troy Franklin, come on down. We'll set ourselves up maybe for a late Bo Nix if we get scooped on other QBs. Team so far is a 1-4-6-2 here. We've got Dak Prescott at QB. We've got David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, ambiguous backfield. Don't love the ADP, but he made sense relative to the room. Ramondre at running back 2. Tyjae Spears, Marshawn Lloyd. So 2 versions of Tyjae Spears at running back. Wide receiver, we got CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. Got scooped on Caleb. Got scooped on our boy Jayden Daniels. There'll be no part 6 for Jayden Daniels today. I'm stuck at 5 shares. Terry McLaurin, though, makes the team. Troy Franklin makes the team. Brock Bowers, Dalton Schultz at tight end. So we have bets on Houston. We have bets on Chicago. And we'll see what we do with the rest of it. And some interdivisional correlation potentially. Chicago, Detroit, whatever. Our guy Tyler here. Tyler coming in. I'll give him the free plug. 4 o'clock Fantasy Sanctuary stream with him and Tom Strachan doing it again. So check those guys out if you are looking for something to watch towards the end of your workday on YouTube. There's another best ball stream for you. It's engagement farm with fake beef. Honestly, look, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm more ready. Marvin Mims going. Hirsch just not like me to have players that I enjoy. Marvin Mims, I think a little bit undervalued. I would have been happy to take him. He's been going to this 160 range enough. So I would have thought that I would have had a shot at getting him, but it's okay. Where's Mims ADP at? 169 ADP. Normally you would have a shot in him, but old Hirsch is just going off of the vibes, picking him up bright and early. Tyler's squirting across the ocean. Yes, I think the only intercontinental, cross-continental best ball show that I'm aware of. It's a feather in the cap. Now everybody's doing 150 drafts. With Neil doing the 150 this year, Pete did it last year. You got to find something unique. And hey, crossing international lines, crossing date lines. Not in the way that Drake does, am I right? You don't cross those date lines. Do you have a seat over there, Drake? Now, why did you bring those wine coolers and cookies? Or always bringing the cookies. 1-4-6-2. What do we do? Oh, that rhymed. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to do a gimmick here. Really a choose your own adventure pocket here, where nothing looks that appealing, and nothing correlates that well. I think that for this build, it would be a time to make a bet on Jaleel McLaughlin. I think we're setting up. Jaleel McLaughlin, come on down ahead of ADP. 1-5-6-2. That does not spark joy. Got sniped on just enough in this draft that could have made it more fun. I did not see the video of Drake Sweener personally, but I do know it exists. And that's what, that's what Kendrick accused him of, was leaking that video himself, which I think people have said before. And then leaking that, but he's saying it's part of his propaganda to get people into the old homestead, which, hey, that's a thought that would not be too shocking. Malachi Corley, a lot of positive buzz. Kind of think he's just a good ADP buy at this point. Algier being here, though, I feel like finishes off the RB room. Contingent value at running back, maybe some goal line work if we're going to say that thing that Sean McVay has said a lot of times about his version of the Rams offense. He wants to normally have guys getting less than 95% of the share. Let's say that's 85%. If Algier is going to get 15% of the Atlanta role, with it being a Rams disciple offense, Zach Robinson running things there, then Algier getting 15 to 20% of that role would be okay. At pick 170, it's okay. Algier, though, went the wrong way last year. I feel like he was a guy that benefited from A, better blocking probably the year before last, but B, I think he benefited from, I don't know, just having that rookie year juice. He was so much better analytically in year 1 than he was in year 2. Bums me out for old Tyler Algier. Kamani Vidal season, or Vidal, I believe is how you're pronouncing his name, or how you're supposed to. Look, man, he really was not that good in college. Same thing he wasn't that good at college. He was in college at Troy, which I think are things that still worry me. But of course, we talk about a lot here. Running back, a will position. It just comes down to what the coach wants to do, what the coach wants to give away. So for Kamani Vidal, we'll see. Tyrone Tracy up to 175. I feel like he had a positive news item over the weekend of them talking about his skill as a pass catcher or something. I think people really want Tyrone Tracy to be a thing. I think he's Giants than Eric Prince, how I view him right now. But he's coming up enough here that old Brendan's taking him at 175. I don't know about that. Guys, I have not done a plug at all here, but if you can, hit that like button and subscribe. Of course, we're going up against the Monday morning Pete Overs at Juggernaut, but every Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. do drafts here, and that's really the main thing. It's about the consistency every day, showing up and doing the work, and of course, keeping updated with the news, keeping updated with the data, doing things like the rankings, keep me in touch as well with just everything, how things are moving in the markets, and frankly, they do move a lot, so we'll have weekly updates for that as well, but hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It all helps out a bunch, helps this video get seen by more people just like you, which is great. If you're watching this video and you enjoy it, then I ideally want people more like you to watch it, right? That's how business works. And I know business is all hail the spankings, the Spags rankings, which I prefer that to not become the branding. Of course, Spags stands for superior players in great spots. I think we have enough acronym going on there, right? My name has been distilled down to an acronym. You would hope Tyrone Tracy could surpass Eric Gray and Gary Brightwell. You have to say Eric Gray had some real flaws last year, primarily because of the fact that he was used as like a punt returner and kick returner, which he was not good at. But it was because he looks good in practice. They wanted to keep him on the field and keep him on the active roster. Eric Gray's got some juice, and he played at bigger schools than Tracy did. So I don't know. I don't think Eric Gray's dead. I don't think that backfield is going to be the most fun one either, to be honest. But I'll take the bet on Devin Singletary. You got paid enough money for Tracy. We're talking low draft capital and a guy that I think is like Jaleel McLaughlin at best. Who knows? All right, we got 3 picks coming up here. Obviously, still need another QB, at least one. Hawkberg, soaking up the clock, thinking it through. Rashad Bateman for Hawkberg. I think at this point we just close off the stack, right? Right? Yeah, let's just close out the stack. I was thinking about doing Geno and Noah Fant, but I really don't need a third tight end. And then getting more wide receiver depth might be value. I'm going to take Bo Nix here and lock him down. To me, Bo Nix should be about valued at 180s. Where did I have Nix ranking wise? I have so many times I mentioned Bo Nix in the rankings. Yeah, I right now have Bo Nix at 181. Which obviously, you know, is just more to say that I think he's in a tier that should be going around 181, which would include Bryce Young. I would have Bo Nix behind Derek Carr, behind Bryce Young, but ahead of Justin Fields, personally. I think for Fields, you're playing for half a season in those Week 17 spike weeks, which is okay. For Bo Nix, I think you're just getting a guy that stacks up well with Denver. Makes a little more sense if you have a Denver player, whereas Fields, I guess, you just take as a one-off theoretically. Let's see what we're going to get with this pick here. All right, we need more wide receivers, I feel like, more than running back at this point. Demarcus Robinson, I think, kind of a fun pick just because he's going to have some days when Puka and Kupp don't go off. Tez Walker, maybe a little bit fun. Wandale coming down. I've seen enough sharp people really flocking to Demarcus Robinson lately that I'm going to go Demarcus Robinson here. Don't have a strong lean for any of these guys. Tez Walker, I think, is really like a 1 touchdown a game kind of guy. Wandale, a lot of his best days are going to go towards, and his best plays really are going to go to Malik Neighbors now. So going to go Robinson. Nothing really correlation-wise. Just think he is a good pick to shore me up as a wide receiver 7. That's basically it. I think we're going to get to 8 receivers here. We'll run on tight ends. Let's pull up the board. Vidal didn't have the best analytics, but he showed he can be a load carrier going against an old bus and a paraplegic. I think Alfred Morris. Okay. Interesting take. Yeah, Vidal's numbers, for what it's worth last year, which we talked about before, but I do feel like when we have a new player here that we have not talked about a lot, probably important to start drilling on it a little bit. Vidal, 0.03 EPA per rush, again at Troy, not that great. 24% avoided tackle rate, 18% stuffed run rate, again at Troy, not what you want to see. In the past game, a 0.3 EPA, not bad. The target per out run rate, only 16% for him, so really not getting targeted a lot in the run game. A red zone, a 0.2 EPA, 3.1 red zone rushes a game. That's okay. It's really just like the bet on Vidal is just that like Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins are not good enough, which I think is an okay bet to make. And then Vidal, they fall in love with. But like the talent, I don't know that you see him like be great in July and August, which is what you really need for him. Like if a guy's a good producer in college, that guy's gonna be good in July and August a little bit more. For Fidel, I don't know that I see it with what he did at really not great competition at Troy. But the price is the price. Like I think the price should be in the 160s. It's just like I wouldn't talk yourself into him or Tyrone Tracy, to be honest. I know people are because I think they're looking for something at that range, but neither guy really excites me too much. Tracy, I could see the bet on more. 29% avoided tackle rate, 0.12 EPA per rush. Was actually not great in the pass game, negative 0.06 EPA per target. And then really bad against 8-man boxes, negative 0.07 EPA there. Actually, Tracy bad in the red zone too. Tracy's just his best case outcome is like, you hope he could be Darren Sproles, which I don't see. Just two guys I'm not that. Like, you got to kill at Troy, and Tyrone Tracy, you got to be fucking great in the pass game, and you're not. I don't know. Worried about Nick starting the series. Got some really tough competition in his QB room. Is that a joke? No, I am not worried about it. I think that he's the guy, too, that will be there leading the workouts in the offseason. Like, he's going to act like a starter the moment that he's getting there. And I think he already has been so far. He's trying to get Troy Franklin to come out for workouts very early after the draft. So I think that he's to me, in better spot right now in terms of like the odds to start. I would say he's got higher odds than Drake May. I think Drake May is like 50-50 right now with how a lot of the signal has been from Gerard Mayo so far that they want to start the guys, give him the best shot to win. That's probably not Drake May day one, especially with his completion issues. Like he's not the most accurate guy in the world. So Drake May can show that pretty fast in camp. And if he's not, and Jacoby Brissett's just a pro QB, he's going to get the ball out accurately and on time. He might not start. So I think that to me, like Nixon McCarthy, I think very likely to start. I would say Nix might be the highest out of that three to start week one. Okay, I figured. Yeah, he's 25 has to start right away. But it's also the draft capital, too, and the fact that, like, you're not going to start Zach Wilson. Nix would have to be egregiously bad in camp for them to go that way. Same thing for Drake May. Like, any of these guys, really, who are getting the high, top 15 pick draft capital, for the most part, they have to be, like, bad enough to lose the job for the most part. For Drake May, it's just a little bit of a different equation because I think he's got to be good enough to win it. And for McCarthy, too, to a lesser extent, like, I think Darnold, if he didn't have a rookie coming in, he would have been a viable fantasy option this year. But he does have the highest, one of the highest draft capital rookies who looks pretty good and athletic enough. Estime go to 211. I don't think Estime should be headed downward. Now some positive local reports about Estime competing for roles within Denver, at least the goal line role, if not more for Javonte Williams. To me, Estime at 211, I think it's too cheap. But I'm in the bag for Big Audric, as we all know. All right, one more pick here, 0672. DJ Chark's ADP moving up with joining the Chargers. I think we have an obvious pick here for pick 7. A pick that I'm perhaps starting to make too often, but Jalen Tolbert I don't think should be free, especially if you have Dak at this point. So Jalen Tolbert will be the pick. We have only single stacked Bo Nix. So I guess we have McLaughlin, so that still counts. All right, final team here at 2682. Dak Prescott, Bo Nix at QB, David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, Tyjae Spears, Marshawn Lloyd, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Tyler Algier at running back. So a 0 RB room. Some tendencies here that I tried to break. I've taken Ramondre, but David Montgomery, definitely a popular pick for me and others to end a 0 RB run with. The rest of the team, let's refresh it because now we have moved. My 10th Best Ball Mania draft here, most of which on stream. I think 8 of which on stream. Okay, wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. So we did get scooped on Caleb Williams. Also got scooped on Jayden Daniels. No part 6 for me today for Jayden Daniels. We are stuck at 5 shares of Jayden. We do get Terry McLaurin, though. Get Troy Franklin. Get Demarcus Robinson. Get Jalen Tolbert. Maybe more wide receiver than we needed. Feel like we could have had one less and shored up QB probably. But we stuck with the 2682. And then Brock Bowers, Dalton Schultz, tight end. Of course, I am a believer in buying Brock Bowers on the way down. It is possible that Brock, though, has not found his floor yet. And that floor could be closer to the 110s, but I don't care. Like, to me, Brock, one of the better picks in the draft, and we'll be going in the top 5 of tight ends next year. And right now he is priced to be less than tight end 10, which should not be the case to me. Like the team. Yes, thank you for that. Our guy Matthew here. Like the team, and please like the video. And guys, plug again. Hit that join button down below. Number one, it supports the show for $4.99 a month. You get the custom badges, VIP treatment here on the channel. Number two, you get the Spags rankings. So if you actually want to use my rankings on Underdog, you can use them. Now, really, I think it's fundamentally going to be the best tool for you as a reading tool. And if you want to use the rankings just to compare against ADP as you go, that's what I would suggest. But check it out for yourself. You will then see it in the community posts, or you can join the Splash Play Squirt Squad VIP Discord by linking your Discord to your YouTube channel, and that's how you get access there. But two ways to get the Spags rankings here for the week. I'm going to try to update them basically every Saturday morning is going to be the goal. So check that out. Again, great way to support the show and get something new for me, in addition to 10 team reviews a month and all the other things you get, which you can see the perks if you hit that join button. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow us at Splash Play Pod. And actually, a shout out. I think there was another member that I did not get onto this yet, but all the people who have joined get featured on the credits here as well. And there was one guy who joined over the weekend that I did not prepare for, but Mike Rickle, shout out our guy Mike Rickle as well. He has to be added to the sheet, but you guys as well. Thank you to all of you who supported the show, and shout out to the Squirt Squad for making this a fun show as always and a profitable one. Hopefully, Stochastic, give them the plug. Probably my baby too. Use probably.com/subscribe. Promo code Squirt. Promo code Splash on there to get your deposit match. I'm not matching any deposits. To get 50% off your first month or even your first year of Probably data. Change your life in sports betting using top market data. Underdog, promo code Splash as well. And actually take advantage of this one too. This is going to be the last time you get 100% deposit match at Underdog. They're changing it over this week. So if you don't have a deposit yet on Underdog, do it now. It's the last time they're deposit matching fully. So I would say take advantage of that if you can with promo code Splash. Game responsibly. And I'll be back tomorrow with more, with less competition. No Pete. Get out of here, Pete, with your monster streams and your viewers. But back on the grind tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow will be Jayden Daniels part 6. Hopefully it will. I'll see you guys then. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye.